We are live at Mississippi Pub, courtesy of Beaver Island Brewing. This is the Viking Update Show on the talknorth.com podcast network. I'm here with Tim Yotter. I'm Jim Souhan. Brandon Morton is producing, and we're probably going to be joined later on by Jeff Diamond, former general manager of the Vikings, who's back in town doing a lot of other cool stuff. Jeff's about to start a show on the network as well. With Tim, we go into the locker room, we go behind the scenes, we go through the eyes of Tim doing his interviews and really breaking down the roster. Jeff's going to offer more of the executive suite view of the NFL, tell stories about his history with Bud Grant and Met Stadium and everything else. So there'll be nice companion pieces as we head into the Viking season. This is our season preview show, and we're going to break it down. I do want to thank Mississippi Pub, Inver Grove Heights, Beaver Island Brewing, WhizKids.tech for all of your technological needs if you run a business, Twill in the Edina Galleria. I'm wearing this shirt from Twill today. Fixology Repair for all of your phone, watch, and iPad and other device needs. That's in the Mall of America and in downtown Minneapolis. And Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin, who handles my insurance as well. Let's start here. What are your big questions for either the Vikings or the NFL?
Well, for the NFL, after Thursday night's game, I'm still confused on what is a catch.
It's whatever you want it to be.
Apparently, because I don't know if you saw the Julio Jones catch.
I did.
And I just don't know what more needs to be reviewed on that to say, I never have a problem with a ref making an instantaneous decision and one way or another. That play is reviewable. They reviewed it, and they still determined that he didn't have control when he was in bounds. And you get a freeze frame where he has the ball pinned against his shoulder pad. He has probably a foot between his pads and the sideline, and they still don't rule it a catch. I'm so confused because I thought we had simplified this process over the offseason.
It's very simple. It's like giving birth. Okay, until you
know about this pretty well.
I've talked to people. Okay. Until you take the baby home and put it in the bassinet, it's not your baby. It's just like the NFL catch rule. You got to take it home and put it in the bassinet.
Okay, that's the new.
Doesn't that clarify it for you?
That's the new rule that we're going with.
It's the NFL. They're going to screw up everything. Just try to enjoy the game.
Yeah,
it's the Mike Tice philosophy. Just enjoy the season.
Yeah, I should, but that one bugged me from last night. The other thing, and this had nothing to do with last night's game, but the helmet rule still seems confusing to me because, they started out really enforcing it strictly in the first couple of preseason games, and then they started backing off. So my opinion remains what it was before training camp ever started, that this thing is going to be difficult to judge on what is, leading with the helmet, what is not, and I do think that they're going to back off it quite a bit. So I don't think this is going to be as big of an issue a month into the season as it is right now. And Mike Zimmer was asked about it yesterday, and he said he thinks he probably has a better idea on what it is, but he's not 100% sure. So he's gotten some sort of clarification, but I think it's still going to come down to very much judgment calls by the officials.
And that always works out well in the NFL.
Certainly. And then the other thing...
Why are you so negative? Why are you attacking the officials even before the first Viking game is played?
And I'm generally not a guy that attacks the officials. But, yeah, and, we've debated back and forth over the years about the relevancy or the usefulness of full-time officials. And this year they have 24 full-time officials all of a sudden, and they still can't get it right. So...
Yeah, that kind of blows up my old theory that you just need to have full-time officials. They just have more time to screw things up now.
Yeah, I don't think that when officials were part-time they had any less knowledge of the rules. I just think that it's a day and age where we're making decisions on split-second calls, and we have high-definition video to show us how screwed up all of these calls are. And even when you get video on some of the calls, you don't know for sure which way it should go. So it's not an easy job. But
you're still going to criticize them, even though it's not an easy job.
Well, and here's the other thing about Thursday night. How many penalties did they have? It was ridiculous. I think there were something like 19 penalties in the first half, and a bunch of those were ones that you look at and you just go, I don't know what they saw on that. Even holding calls. And in my opinion, if you're going to throw a flag, you make sure you know what you saw. And it just slowed down the game so much. So it took some of the joy out of the game.
Am I going to have to listen to you complain about the officials all season?
No. Maybe. I don't know.
We are live at Mississippi Pub. If you haven't been here, it's 4455 66th Street East in Inver Grove Heights. It's not easy to find if you're just looking for it. You want to GPS it, but if you get to a certain point and you head toward the river, you're going to run into it. It's a great spot right on the river. They have a lot of lunch specials. They have happy hours. They have live entertainment. They have live quasi-entertainment, which is what you're listening to right now. They have music, they're right on the marina. So you have a lot of boaters. You have a great view of the Mississippi River. We like the fried pickles, the burgers, the wraps, everything else. They have $6 burgers at certain times of the day. Go to MississippiPub.com. Check out their specials. They also host private parties and events. And in conjunction with Beaver Island Brewing, they're having us do one live show a month out here, as well as talk about them on all the other shows. And you can find all of our shows at talknorth.com. So, any more complaints about the NFL before we get to the Vikings?
Well, I just want to know what your opinion is. Thursday night's overnight rating on TV was down again, and it's been kind of steadily crawling down each of the past 5 years, that opening Thursday night game. My opinion is that it might not have to do as much with the whole anthem debate as it has to do with, I think, just a general decline in interest among younger people. I think younger people want quicker snapshot highlight videos, and they don't want to sit around and watch 3 hours of a game.
Well, and older people don't want to wait up. They don't want to start watching a game that might not be decided till 11 p.m.
Well, and that was
East Coast midnight,
and that was the case last night too. And in fact, I did fall asleep in the fourth quarter. So,
see, I look forward to the opening Thursday night games. I like having that highlighted game before you get to Sunday. But then they started playing. I was like, it's just not that good.
Well, and it was a rain delay, and well, that's another problem too, because the quality of play in the first couple of weeks of the regular season isn't all that good, because coaches have gone away from playing a lot of their starters for much of the preseason. I mean, you look in Chicago, they play Mitch Trubisky the whole preseason, which I think is a terrible idea. You've got a guy going into a second year, and you're not going to play him
and he only played one
preseason?
And he only played 1 year in college, so he's got incredibly small amount of experience going into the season. And yet the Bears are acting like they're ready to win, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, and they should be better after the Khalil Mack trade, so I don't know. I just don't get it.
Let's get into the Vikings. That is what this show is all about. And let us start with Mike Zimmer. Do want to quickly thank WhizKids.tech for sponsoring the program, especially if you're a business. You want to work with some people you know. You want to work with people you have access to. WhizKids.tech is a business in downtown Minneapolis. They can help you with all of your business needs. They can be your chief technology ally. You can help with managed IT services, unified communication, and cloud services. And yes, anytime somebody wants to come ask a question, you feel free to. And so if you want to reach them, check out WhizKids, WHIZKIS.com.
Hello, Minnesota sports fans. This is Michael Thanner, founder and CEO of WhizKids. WhizKids is a Minneapolis-based managed IT, hosted VoIP, and cloud services provider. Businesses today require fast response times, skilled support staff, clear communication, and technology recommendations that align with their business goals. At WhizKids, we do this each and every day with our clients. When you call into our help desk for support or work with one of our higher-level engineers on a complex issue, you'll find our staff personable and ready to roll up their sleeves to help you solve your technology problems. Reach out to WhizKids today to find out how we can help your business meet your technology goals. Visit us online at WhizKids.tech. That's WhizKids.tech. WhizKids, make it happen.
All right, so Zimmer, right before the season started, is talking about kind of his ambivalence about calling defensive plays. Is that weird timing, or is that just when the question came up?
Well, that's when the question came up.
Why didn't we ask him that earlier?
It's the third straight, I think, preseason that this has come up with, dealing with clock management and everything else that goes in, all the decisions that a head coach has to make on the sideline in a couple of seconds. And, he's always looking down at his play calling sheet. He's paying attention to personnel that's being brought in by the other team, trying to make defensive calls. So I get it why he would consider giving up play calling for the defense. But he brought up 2 points on why he doesn't want to, despite the fact that he says every day he considers giving up the defensive play calling. Number one, he thinks he's pretty damn good at it.
Yeah.
So there is that, and I agree with him. Number two, he doesn't want to be second-guessing George Edwards, which I think he would do quite a bit if he did give up the defensive play calling, despite the fact that he says, George has tried to call the plays like he thinks Zimmer would. And
that's a terrible setup. That's where I agree with Zimmer. If you ask your coordinator, hey, call it the way I would call it, then you're just looking over his shoulder every single time. And he's trying to read your mind while he's trying to read the game. That's a bad setup.
Yeah, it is. And that's why I think it will remain Zimmer's domain to make the defensive play calls, and why I think it's going to be years before he would actually give them up. I think he just says he considers giving them up because he's stressed out. He's an NFL head coach. He's got a lot on his mind. It's the start of the regular season, and I think he's looking to alleviate whatever pain that gives him, but he doesn't want to let go of the control of that.
No, I really don't blame him. He got hired because of his defensive expertise.
Yeah, well, and it was interesting, too, because he was asked, he's the last head coach to be hired that has defensive, that came from the defensive side of the ball.
Ooh.
The other ones have all been like Kyle Shanahan and, just all these other guys around the NFL.
Nagy.
Yep. So that's kind of why this came up at this time.
Well, hold on. What about Matt Patricia?
True. Yep, that would be the exception. Yep. So, and, I'm curious to see how that one works out.
Yeah, I'm not really confident in that one.
I'm not either because, New England's defense really wasn't that good last year.
And what Belichick's assistant has succeeded in a head coaching job.
Yep.
It just hasn't happened.
Yep.
One of my favorite topics here, I do want to thank Twill in the Edina Galleria. I bought this shirt with my own money at Twill. It's just one of those incredibly flexible, comfortable shirts. They have great doodads. They have gifts you can buy for the man in your life. They still have golf stuff in the shop. They're changing over their fall wardrobe, which is some of the best stuff they have. And they work with all the best designers. So check out Twill in the Edina Galleria or online twillmn.com or on Instagram, TWILL.
Jim usually doesn't like to shop for clothes. I don't like it when he shops for clothes either, because he used to buy stuff I'd want to throw out. That's why I'm so glad he's found Twill in the Edina Galleria. He likes shopping there because of the comfortable environment and the friendly staff. He finds clothes that actually fit him properly and are high-quality brands that will look great for years, whether he's golfing or working. Our favorites so far are Peter Millar, Johnny O, and Barber. We spend our money at Twill because we love the clothes and we love the no-pressure shopping. Drop by Twill in the Edina Galleria for the best shopping experience and best clothes you'll find in the Twin Cities.
All right, now here's the fun topic. NFL has become almost like the NBA in terms of quarterback movement.
Yeah.
Everybody's shuffling constantly, and we see it here in this first game, 49ers with Garoppolo against Vikings against Cousins.
Yeah, and the NBA is touted as growing in popularity because people get to know the players better than they do in the NFL. And really, the only players that I think fans know and really care about are the quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And so that's why this one is interesting to me, because if you look at Garoppolo going over to San Francisco, if they would not have made that trade at that time, and Kyle Shanahan in a conference call here this week said it kind of came out of nowhere. Now, I don't necessarily believe that. I think that obviously you would be talking to your head coach about trading for a quarterback. But if that had not happened, we could be looking at a situation where Kirk Cousins goes into free agency this year. The San Francisco 49ers are looking for a starting quarterback, and Kyle Shanahan and Kirk Cousins have the history behind them. For Cousins' first two seasons in Washington, Shanahan was his offensive coordinator. So we could have had that dynamic, and then that would have left Jimmy Garoppolo with New England, and if they were still willing to trade at that point, in the offseason, Vikings very well could have ended up with Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers with Kirk Cousins.
Interesting. Who would you rather have to put you on the spot right now at this point of their careers and given where their teams are? Or where the Vikings are, at least?
I would say right now, probably Cousins because he has more history behind him. But I'm not convinced that Garoppolo won't end up being the better quarterback of the two. And so, say you had a full season or 2 full seasons of Garoppolo and you knew what he was and what he was turned